What's up, boys? My name is Berate and welcome to my defense guide. Now in this video I'm going to be going over every single role in the game, and also I will be going over agent specific stuff on how to play defense. Nothing's going to be map specific, but this is just a general rule of thumb of how to play defense with every agent. A couple of tips, tricks, and strategies that I use in my own ranked games to hopefully help you rank up. I don't know if these are optimal, I don't know if these are perfect, I don't know if these are VCT level. This is just what I see that works in my games, so I will be sharing them with you today. Immediately you must be wondering why I'm on Ascent. Normally I do all of my guides on Haven. Like I did my offense guide on Haven, I did a couple of like my Omen guides and stuff on Haven. The reason why I'm on Ascent for this one is for the sole reason of Ascent is a very defense-sided map. So therefore, explaining defense in terms of Ascent is going to be a little bit more straightforward, because you have sight, mid, and then extra entrances to sight that I can use to sort of cover different concepts for different agents. And also the reason I'm on Ascent over Haven is a very offense-sided map. So there's a lot of intricacies and stuff on Haven that just wouldn't really apply to other maps in terms of playing defense. So I think in terms of straightforward vanilla defense, Ascent is the best map to explain it on. So that's the reason why I'm not on Haven for this one. On most of my other guides, I would normally be on Haven. Anyways, yeah, so starting off here with controller. Now, your job as a controller on defense is to stall time for your team to rotate, and also to allow your team to set up for map control. Your entire job as a controller is to take away or allow calculated space to or from the enemy team. Very, very common example of this is, say that you know that the enemy team is pushing B. You are dropping a smoke on the choke point like this, and make sure that the smoke is flush with the choke point. You don't want the smoke sticking out because then they can sit inside the smoke. The reason why you have the smoke here is you're denying the space. But then you're immediately thinking, oh, what if they push out of the smoke? If they were to push out of the smoke, look at what happens. If you were to push out of this smoke right here completely dry, here's what happens. You are instantly exposed from about 5 different angles at once. You're exposed from lane, you're exposed from switch, you're exposed from stairs, you're exposed from CT, you're exposed from market, and you're exposed from logs. And this is just in the action of walking out of a smoke. So that is very, very difficult for the attackers to deal with, and they're going to have to use some kind of utility to get themselves out of that smoke, i.e. a flash, a recon, a Sylvedrome, Skydog, Fade Dog, something to help them get out of that smoke. And they're going to have to use a very valuable piece of utility to stop them from getting absolutely railed the second they come out the smoke by you placing an ability that most controllers get on a recharge. Now, obviously, Brimstone is an exception to this rule. Brimstone smokes do not recharge, but we'll get to the Brimstone section later in terms of theory behind Brimstone. Now, that's really your main job as a controller on defense. If you were to just hop into a ranked game right now and have to fill controller, your entire job on defense is to throw a smoke on the choke point right as the enemies are about to come out. Now, what you don't want to do is you do not want to throw the smoke on the choke point as soon as the round starts. Even if you have a perfect read that you know for a fact that the enemy team is coming B, don't throw it at the beginning of the round. You want to time your smokes for when the enemies are pushing out and about to walk onto site. So say the ascent barrier is roughly about right here, right? So when I'm here pushing and clearing ascent, right, I'm clearing my angles and stuff, I would want to throw the smoke when the enemies are up about right here. Reason being, you get the most uptime out of the smoke, uptime being the amount of effectiveness that the smoke has and the amount of time that the smoke is effective, but also it allows you to kind of shut down their entire site hit. Because at this point, if they're up in this part of the choke point, chances are they're planning on committing to the site. But then if they get a smoke thrown in their face, that kind of just throws a wrench in their plans, because if they push out the smoke, they die. Obviously, they can't really do anything in terms of countering the smoke unless they want to flash out of it or do some teleport strats or waste an ultimate. But it's also going to force them to rethink their plans. They're going to say, oh, okay, we have no information. We don't know how many are on site now, because I assume everyone on our team is going to be shift walking. The enemy team has a decision to make. Are they either A, going to wait out the smoke and then push the site and lose valuable time that they could be using to take other parts of the map, or B, are they going to rotate? And 90% of the time, they're just going to rotate, which means you can stack the other part of the map, and that's going to be pretty easy to read. So if you want to just hop into a ranked game right now and play controller, your one job on defense is to smoke the choke point as the enemies are about to come out onto site. Now, your second job as a controller, this is if you want to main controller, i.e. if you want to play solely controller. This is where it gets slightly more complicated. I'm going to move over to A for this example. Your second job as a controller on defense is to throw retake smokes. What do I mean by retake smokes? There is a checklist that I go to anytime that there is a retake. And if you're new to Valorant, a retake is just any time the enemy team has planted the bomb and they have control of site, and you want to retake the site in hopes of smoking off the bomb and sticking the bomb, defusing and winning the round. And your job as a controller is to throw smokes for the retake. So here's my retake smoke checklist. If you want to write this down, maybe I'll put this in the description of the video for you to copy paste. You can copy and paste this for every single time you want to retake a site in Valorant, regardless of what side it is. First off, if the enemy team has control of all of site, so they have control of the choke point, they have the control of front sight, and they have the control of back sight. This is where you want to throw what is known as a sight smoke. Some common examples of sight smokes for Astra that I will be explaining here would be this smoke or this smoke. Now, notice how this smoke cuts it through the middle of sight for the purpose of isolating your gunfights. This is very important. You want to isolate your gunfights, or you want to throw a smoke that's going to make it easier for you to get onto site. So I'll go over each of these smokes one by one. So the purpose of a smoke like this would be gunfight isolation. Reason being, if I were to push out of heaven normally, I would be immediately exposed to the all of sight when I come out here. But with this smoke, I can isolate my fights here. I can isolate my fight over here. And then, if the smoke would stay up for long enough, and then when I drop down here, I have isolated fights here, and every single fight is isolated so that I'm not getting peeked from multiple angles at once. Or the second type of smoke, i.e. the one that's right here, is kind of a double-edged sword. This one helps you isolate your fights because it holds for you and it allows you to clear your angles slightly more optimally. But it also gives you the added benefit of having a free drop in onto site. So then you can isolate your fights more. You can swing out over here and isolate your main fight. If I throw smoke again. So as you can swing out here and isolate your main fight. You can swing out back here and semi-isolate your hell fight. You can pre-fire this, and then after that get ready to fight on the other side, or vice versa. So over here, you pre-fire this, and then you get ready to fight over here. Reason being, you're isolating your fights, and that's the point of a sight smoke. You throw sight smokes when your team does not have control of anything. Now, hopefully, give it some time, and after you throw your sight smoke, your team is going to have control of back sight. All back sight means is you cut the sight in half, back sight, front sight. Once your team has control of back sight, that's when you want to smoke off the choke point. The choke point being the main place of entry that the team has, or that the enemy team has, into the site. So in this case, the choke point here would be right here. This is where you'd want to smoke off the choke point. The reason why you smoke off the choke point is that so you have an easier time after you have back sight control, you have an easier time clearing front sight, which then front sight is clear. I don't really need to go over this. Oftentimes this door is closed for Haven retakes, so you don't really have to worry about that. Now, finally, once you have control of front sight, that's where you'd want to smoke off the bomb. A very, very common mistake that I see in a lot of controller players is they immediately assume, bet we have sight control, we push them back to the choke point, the bomb is, say, planted right here, I'm gonna smoke off the choke point and stick the bomb. You don't want to do that. That is what you do not want to do. Instead, what you want to do is you want to smoke off the bomb. So say the bomb is planted in front of the generator, you'd want to smoke off the bomb. There's a couple reasons for this. Reason number one, this guy over here has no idea if you're on or even near the bomb or not. So if a person right here is sitting here playing for spam and there's a smoke right in his face, he doesn't know whether you're sticking the bomb. He doesn't know whether you're over here ready to swing him. He doesn't know if you're over on the other side ready to swing him. He doesn't know if you're on another part of the site entirely after you tap the bomb. He has no information. which is what you want. You don't want this guy to know if you are on the bomb or not. Now look at this. If the choke point is smoked off, now you're denying the information from yourself. You don't know is if you stick the bomb, if he's just going to swing out of the smoke and try and kill you. This is more for a 1v1 situation, but you don't know if he's going to try to swing out of the smoke and kill you as you're trying to stick. That is a not very good. If the smoke is in his face, he has a lot of room to spam. So you can spam the bomb all the way back here and be completely safe. He can sit inside the smoke and spam the bomb because his teammates are going to be picking the spike for him. He can sit here and he can spam the bomb pretty much completely safe without really getting punished for it. So throwing a smoke at the choke point, overthrowing it on top of the bomb, is better than nothing. If you have no smokes, then obviously that's going to be worse. That's going to be worse off for you. But this smoking off the choke point, is infinitely worse than smoking off the bomb. Always smoke off the bomb, but only smoke off the bomb after you have control of back sight, front sight. There's no extra tuckers or things on sight, and you want to make sure that the enemies are stuck back at the choke point, and their only option is to spam the bomb or play lineups. That's essentially the thing that you have to realize. That's essentially the thing you do with controller. Now let's get into a couple more agent-specific things. So with Astra, a very, very common combo that I see among Astra players is when they're on the choke point, they'll throw 2 stars like this. Reason being, the first star they're going to use as a smoke, and the second star they're going to use as a suck. Reason being, sometimes what people will do is when a smoke is in their face, they will sit inside of the smoke and then wait for the smoke to go down, because I know right now this smoke is going to come down right about now. They're going to wait for the smoke to come down, and then they're going to exec the site off the smoke coming down. You can use this, if you have suspicion that they're doing that, to punish them for that. So you can sit here, and you can suck them, and look what happens. They get sucked out of the smoke, they get vulnerable, and you, being up here in heaven, completely safe, get to kill them completely for free, and probably get a multi. You're going to kill them right here, completely for free, and it's going to be completely fine. Another common thing that I see with Astras is use of their ultimate. Now, I am not the best Astra player. I am not a very good Astra player, so take this with a grain of salt, but people underutilize Astra's wall. Astra's wall is very, very good for retakes, for the reason of where you're throwing sight smokes. So I talked about throwing sight smokes earlier. This is pretty much a sight smoke on steroids. You can isolate every single humanly possible fight that you can with this wall, and be almost completely safe while doing it. And then you can position yourself in a spot so that once the wall goes down, or even when you swing out the wall, your fights are still isolated, and you still have both of your smokes and all of your util. It's really, really good. So use your Astra walls for retakes. That's generally what I would recommend doing. Moving on over to the next controller here. The next controller on my list is going to be Brimstone. Now, with Brimstone is one of those characters where on defense, he's a little bit lacking because unlike a lot of other controllers, he cannot smoke both sides at once. What do I mean by that? He has a range on his smokes. So if I'm standing right here, I can smoke main, I can smoke mid, I can smoke whatever I want here, but I can't smoke the A main choke point. That is a problem. So with Brimstone, your positioning is very important. So generally, I like to play mid with Brimstone. Or if you're on Haven, play B. If you're on Lotus, play B, etc. Play mid so that you can access every smoke that you would need from one spot. Now, I went over this tip in my offense guide. But this works for defense as well. Use your smokes to line up mollies. So what do I mean by that? So here, say you're in CT, and you know that they're not out on B yet, but you're not going to get there in time to actually do anything. What you do is you look up in the sky, you throw your smoke on the choke point, put your crosshair in the middle of where the smoke lands, and you have an impromptu lineup, and that molly will go over and land right on the smoke or in front of it every single time. Now this one, it hit the roof, so if I were to do a better one, probably one from back here, you'll see what happens. Launching smoke. Right here. Boom. The molly's going to come down, and it's going to land right inside of that smoke. And that's the next part of Brimstone that I want to talk about. The molly smoke combo. This is one of the most annoying combos in the entire game if you want to actually push a site. Even if you don't use the lineup trick, or even if you don't have any lineups, like I know that this lineup right here for Brimstone because I have a lot of hours on Brimstone. I just have the stuff off the top of my head. I know this molly for Brimstone is going to land right here in the A main choke point, so that I don't even have to have a lineup. That's the lineup there. Also, by the way, if you want to see what I'm lining up here, I'll give you guys this one for free. You stand in this corner, and you look at this little red cape here. Then you look right below this bar, right in the center. You throw your molly, and then this will land all the way in the A main choke point right here. Very, very good molly. Absolutely recommend using it in your Ascent games. I'll give you guys that one for free. But what you want to do is you want to smoke, then you want to molly. That simple. This is annoying to deal with because the molly, you're not going to push Brimstone's molly without dying. You can't just tank Brimstone molly damage. You're going to be put to 1 HP or you're just going to die. This also has the added benefit of 8 seconds of stall time. And remember, your job as a controller on defense, when they don't have sight control and you're not in a retake, is to stall them for as long as you can to give your team time to rotate, flank, or do whatever they need to do. Rotate, flank, take map control, throw recons, whatever. Your job is to stall.
Smoke's down.
This is the combo you want to be using for Brimstone. And Brimstone is very, very simple on defense. Brimstone is very simple on defense. Smoke the choke point, molly. Smoke the choke point, molly. Use your ultimate when they're planting the bomb. The common mistake that I see with Brimstone players is they'll just rip their ultimate at the choke point and think they're doing something. Unless it's comboed with another piece of utility like a Fade Seize, this isn't going to do anything. They're just going to get out of the way and you're going to waste an 8-point ultimate. I think this is an 8-point ultimate, right? Am I going stupid? You're going to waste an 8-point ultimate. No bueno. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold on to your ultimate for 2 reasons. A, retake. If you want to, say, clear switch, you get to clear switch with your ultimate. Switch is really stupid to clear in retakes. If you want to clear Boathouse, Boathouse is really stupid to clear for B retakes. You can just nuke all of Boathouse and not have to worry about it. Or, alternatively, you can stay near the site, wait for them to plant the bomb, and ult to the default plant. That is another perfectly viable, perfectly useful thing. And it's all in the effort of stalling their plant, stalling the plant, so that you give your team time to set up for a retake, flank, lurk, do whatever they want to do. You're stalling time. That's I want to grain that into your head. If you're playing a controller on defense, your job is to stall time for the rest of your team to do whatever else you want. And your secondary job is to throw sight smokes, choke point smokes, and bomb smokes for retakes. Next controller. Next controller we're going to be talking about is Clove. Clove is an exception. I just talked about stalling everywhere. Clove is an exception. Now, you can play Clove with a very stall-heavy playstyle. If you're playing Clove, you can throw your smoke on... That's a horrible smoke. Ugh. Blech. That's disgusting. If I ever see the smoke on my ranked games, I'm immediately vote kicking you. So yeah, you could throw your smokes on the choke point and just throw a decay in there, but this is gonna give you, let's count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 seconds of delay. That's not gonna delay nobody. And oh, would you look at that, the smoke is already down. So what you want to be doing with Clove is you want to be taking early fights sort of like a duelist. There's 2 reasons why you want to be taking early fights with Clove. 1, numbers advantage. Numbers advantage. Numbers advantage is very important on defense. Why? Because they have less people for the sight hit. Less people for the sight hit means you outnumber them on defense. Outnumbering them on defense means that you, if you play for trades, are going to win the round. Because they have to plant the bomb and you don't. They're going to have a harder time hitting sight because they're going to have more people, less people going into more people. And that's really easy to just time them out if you get early numbers advantage, because all you have to do is hold down your sight, play for trades, and make sure that no one dies without getting a trade, and you instantly win the round. It's that simple. Now, the reason why Clove can play risky, 1 is with her ultimate. With her ultimate, you can pretty much be like a wild maniac. A play that I use a lot on Ascent if I'm playing Clove is I will immediately smoke top mid like this, and I will just run down tiles like this and try and take early fights right here. Especially on pistol round. I love doing this on pistol round. If you have your ultimate, even better. You can play extremely aggressively, but the second reason why you are allowed to play aggressive with Clove, and not really any other controller, is you can smoke while you're dead. If you say, worst case scenario, you smoke top mid, you're going and you're taking your tiles fight, someone swings out the top mid smoke and you die. You die right here. you can still do your job. You can smoke literally anywhere you want. You could smoke the entire site. You can re-smoke top mid tiles. You can smoke A main. You can smoke B main. You can throw site smokes for your team. You can throw site smokes for your team. You can throw retake smokes. You can smoke off the bomb. You can smoke off the choke point. You can do whatever you want because you're Clove and you can smoke while you're dead. So take early fights with Clove on defense because worst case scenario, you do your job. Best case scenario, you get a kill and you win the round almost instantly. Now in the worst possible case scenario, and again, this is something you have to think about, you want to be taking aggressive space in a spot where if you do die, you can still do your job. Now, worst case scenario, you die early with Clove, taking aggressive B main space for whatever reason. Just make sure that your A is on lock. Calm to your team, keep A on lock, then you can still do your job on B. Still good. But still, Clove is the only exception of where you get to play aggressive. And you playing aggressive is your stall. So you playing aggressive is you stalling for your team. Because by playing aggressive, they have to fight you. And by fighting you, you're stalling them. Or by killing them, you're stalling them. So just take early fights with Clove. It's really, really that simple. That's the only agent-specific thing I can think of on defense for Clove. Now, coming on over to Harbor. I forgot to talk about Harbor in my last video, and I got a myriad of hate comments for that. Harbor on defense is a little bit wacky. So you want to be using your smokes just on the choke point as you normally would. And you want to be as annoying with your smokes as you possibly can. You want to keep that choke point smoked for the foreseeable future. If this runs out, you have your wall. Now your wall is very, very good for retakes. The reason why a wall is good for retakes is you get the benefit of a site smoke while also having the benefit of an Astra wall. Is they're most likely not going to push through. So a normal site smoke that I would throw if I'm retaking A is I would throw a site smoke like this. You see? It allows me to isolate my fights easily. Isolate my fight, isolate, isolate, isolate. It allows me to do this, and then I have my cove for the bomb. You want to use your cove to stick the bomb. That is essentially what you want to be using your cove for. Use your cove to stick the bomb. It's really that simple. Don't waste your cove throwing it on the choke point. That's what your E ability and your C abilities are from. Save your cove for sticking the bomb. Unless you want to go for an aggressive play. Now, there is a very, very phenomenal Harbor player that I follow on Instagram. If I remember his name, I'll put it in the video, but in all actuality, I probably won't because I hardly even edit these. I'm probably not even going to watch this part of the video. Hello, future me editing this video. I don't like you very much. Get back to Radiant. Anyways, you're going to be... I derailed my train of thought. There's a very aggressive Harbor play that you can do, and it's with a shorty. You sit in your smoke with a... You sit in your Harbor clove with a shorty, and you blast them like that. Or you blast them inside like this. It's really stupid. And the guy on Instagram that I follow that does it does a really, really good... It's Ludiloo. That's who it is. It's Ludiloo. Ludiloo does it. Ludiloo does it. Phenomenal Harbor player. He pretty much perfected the art of what he calls bubble fighting. And it's where he just drops a bubble and he has a shorty and he just blasts them. If you can master this play style, go for it. Do I think that it is going to be viable in a ranked environment? Absolutely not. Is it very fun? Absolutely it is. Now back to actual serious Harbor gameplay. Your High Tide. Or not your High Tide, your Ultimate, your Reckoning. I swear I play this game. You want to use this for retakes. I assume you're noticing, just from what I'm saying, is Harbor is a retake demon. You want to stay alive with Harbor as long as you can. You don't want to be taking early aggressive fights like with Clove. You want to be playing very passive and you want to be playing for that retake. Because almost every single part of your kit complements a retake perfectly. Your ultimate, free information, and concusses for a retake. Your wall is really good for a retake because you have probably the best sight smoke in the game because you can curve it. Your High Tide, very, very good for pushing and taking sight, while also has the added benefit of blocking off choke points so that you can fend off, so that you have a better retake. Your Cove is perfect for smoking off the bomb. For guess what? Retake. Harbor is a retake demon. If you are one of the 3 Harbor mains that are in existence, play very passive on defense and play for that retake. You live for the retake. So yeah, that's about as far as I'll go with Harbor. Next up is Omen. Omen
30 seconds left.
is very, very similar to Astra in terms of what you're going to be doing with Omen on defense. Except you have a free rotate button. A play I like to use with Omen sometimes is when I'm on an eco round and I have a judge, right? Again, abuse the judge with Omen because you can just blind people and then you can just blast them with your judge, right? You can become Dr. Freeze 2.0 if you want. If I have a judge and I'm on an eco and I know they're on a full buy, what I'll do is I won't buy a judge unless I have my ultimate. Now, obviously, if you're very confident with your judge, you can buy the judge when you don't have your ultimate. But when you have your ultimate, buy a judge. Now, think about it. The main downside of the judge on defense, you have very good sight hold, i.e., you get to hold very well with the judge. If they push this smoke or get anywhere within blasting distance, they're going to die. So you have very, very good sight hold. However, the problem with the judge is you can't retake with the judge. Try to retake with a judge against a vandal. It is not going to happen unless you have every single part of your kit. So say I'm trying to retake B with a judge. First off, I would have to give myself optimal fights by blowing a smoke by doing this. Then I'd have to give myself more optimal fights by blowing a smoke by doing this. And then I would blind right here, and then I would teleport right here so I have optimal fights here, optimal fights here, optimal fights here. But even though I have optimal fights here, I don't have optimal fights here because if they see me over here, oh my goodness, I'm dead to a vandal. You can't retake with the judge, so you have to either hold the site or lose. With the judge, the main downside of the judge is you cannot retake with the judge. However, that entire downside goes down when you have your ultimate. Because they're on B, oh no, they're on A. You just teleport over to A, and the entire downside of the judge is gone. You're here ready to go to Blast Town once again. So you blast people with the judge when you have your ultimate. It's a very, very good strategy I like to use. And that's pretty much the only Omen-specific thing that I can think of. You use your blind as they're coming out onto site to stall them. You use your smokes on the choke point. Your smokes are perfect to throw sight smokes because they're big enough to throw sight smokes, and you can throw them wherever you want. Your teleport, you can use your teleport for defensive repositions. So say that you're playing, you know, like back generator or something, right? You smoke this off. You blind as they're coming out. After the blind goes down, they push out of your smoke again. You take a fight here, and then boom, you teleport back to dice. You throw a sight smoke for your team that's about to retake. You can take another fight here. Boom, you can teleport to heaven and be completely safe. So use your teleports for repositions and to keep your opponents guessing on where you are. You always want to keep your opponents guessing when you're playing Omen. But yeah, Omen's a very, very good agent for defense. But just try not to play super aggressive with him on defense unless you have a set play. If you have a set play, like a very, very aggressive defensive set play that I'll see Omen players do, is they'll blind this off rip and then they'll TP wine. This is a good play. If you die, you're going to have your team lose smokes for the entire round, which boo-hoo. But you go here, you get some, and then you can teleport out, smoke, run away, and be relatively safe. So that's really it for Omen on defense. With Omen on defense, it is very, very good. Anyways, yeah, let's move on over to the next agent here, that being Viper. Viper.
30 seconds left.
Don't play Viper. I'm sorry. Unless you are playing on Icebox or Breeze, which on the next patch, Icebox and Breeze are not going to be in the map rotation. Do not play Viper. Viper is a horrible agent. Terrible. Viper is an over-glorified Sentinel, which if you want to play Viper as a Sentinel, here's a couple of tips. A Viper is not a controller. Anything that I'm saying, you can't throw sight smokes with Viper. Your stall potential is pretty good with Viper, I'm not gonna lie. But you can't throw sight smokes as Viper. If you're trying to retake with a Viper on your team, you're up a creek. Because your Viper is not gonna do anything. Because 90% of Viper setups are as follows. This on one part of the map. Wall to cover the other part of the map. If they're pushing A, you pop your wall and you also cut off mid. If they're pushing B, If you're pushing B, then you throw your thing and then you molly like this. If you have your ultimate, you're throwing your ultimate at the start of the round. You're buying a judge and you're just blasting people with it. there's not much to go off of here. So if you want to play Viper as a Sentinel, by all means, throw your own elo. But if you're genuinely trying to play controller seriously, drop Viper. It is not worth it. Anyways, now we're going to get on to the next class of agents. Alrighty, next class of agents are going to be Flash Initiators. Flash Initiators are any initiators that have a blind. This being Gecko, this being Sky, this being Breach. There's probably one more that I'm forgetting, which I'll just look at the list afterwards. Anyways, so yeah. So Flash Initiators. Flash Initiators they're retake demons. They're sort of the same as Harbor in the sense that you want to be using your util as they're coming out of the choke point to stall them. But really, you want to be staying alive as much as you can in the round to initiate retakes for your team. So this is what a standard B retake would look like if you're playing, you know, Breach, right? I would stun right here, and I would blind, you know, to get my team out of this choke point, right? I would use my Aftershock to clear out a hard to clear angle. So if I don't feel like clearing Boathouse, I'll throw it here. If I don't feel like clearing this box, I'll throw it here. If I don't feel like clearing, you know, this box here, which I mean, like, sure, whatever, you can just spam it. You throw your thing right here. If I don't feel like clearing this out of Boathouse, I'll throw it there. Use your util to initiate a retake. Then, after I clear out something, I'll flash my team onto site, and we are balling for the retake. Now, generally, and this is very important if you're playing Flash Initiators, you want to stay alive as long as you can so that you can use your util for the retake. Your goal as a Flash Initiator is to initiate retakes for your team. Now, another thing when you're playing a Flash Initiator is you can set up your Duelists for aggressive plays. So say that you have a Jet that really likes to push B main. You can help your Jet push B main by stunning for her, by flashing for her, by flashing her. You could flash the Jet if you want, if you know, are feeling a little bit zesty that day. You can help your Duelist do aggressive plays. Flash Initiator is probably the simplest class to play on defense, just in terms of playstyle and theory, because you're either helping your Duelist do aggressive plays, or you're staying alive and you're helping your team retake. That's really about it. There's not really much to go off of. Now let's go on to some agent-specific stuff. Alright, first agent we're going to be talking about here is Breach. Breach-specific stuff is, again, you want to be using your stuff for retakes and for aggressive plays, but the thing I really want to talk about is the ultimate. The ultimate, you do not want to use the ultimate just for retakes, because oftentimes Breach players will fall into the trap of saving their ultimate only for retakes, and they'll either die in the process or whatever. You can also use your Breach ultimate as they're coming out of the choke point. This is very, very effective, because in the enemy's head, here is essentially what's happening. So they have taken all the time to clear the space on B main. Their Sova's ready to throw a dart, their controller's smoking market and CT, and they're just waiting for your smoke on the choke point to go down to slam the site. They throw their recon, they smoke the sites, they blow half of their util kit, and you click one button on your mouse, and you completely shut down their entire site hit and blow all of their utility in a matter of 5 seconds. This is a very, very good use of Breach's ultimate. Is after they throw out the recon utility and after they smoke, just shut down their entire site hit. Boom. They're stuck in this corner. Aftershock. Go for another one. Boom. Get an ace. That simple. Use your ultimate very creatively and not very sparingly with Breach. Your ultimate can pretty much shut down the entirety of what the enemy team wants to do. So use it for that purpose as well. Anyways, on to the next Flash Initiator. Next Flash Initiator is going to be Senor Gecko. Now, Gecko is a little bit more on the complicated side of Flash Initiators, because he's kind of just the basic Flash Initiator. He has his molly that he can use sort of like Breach. He has his molly sort of like Breach's Aftershock. You're either using it to stall, or you can use it to clear out angles that you just don't feel like clearing out yourself. So say you don't feel like clearing out Boathouse, you throw your Mosh in Boathouse, and then, yeah. So use your molly. Don't use it really as a molly. Use it more to clear out angles that you don't feel like clearing out on retakes. So say I don't feel like clearing out Okay, well, that molly was meant to bounce off here and go all the way over here. But say you really don't feel like clearing out stairs. Like, say there's, like, a person sitting right here in stairs that you really do not feel like just swinging and clearing. You just throw your molly. This part of the video is so stupid. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. Throw your molly to clear out angles you don't feel like clearing out. Now, next up is your wingman and your dizzy. I'm saying those two together because we're going to be doing this thing known as the combo. A couple months ago, I posted a video where I went into more detail on this gecko combo. But essentially what it is you throw your wingman and you throw your dizzy. That's about it. And in the enemy's head, here is what is going to be happening. And by the way, you want to use this combo to initiate retakes. You want to use this combo for retakes. Here's what's happening in the enemy's head. They're going to be holding whatever angle one. I'm going to stop holding this. Say they're holding this, right? First off, they see a wingman coming towards them. Oh crap, Crosshair's down here shooting the wingman. Then a dizzy comes from the sky. Oh crap, I have to make a decision. Do I either shoot the wingman and get blinded by the dizzy, or do I shoot the dizzy and get stunned by the wingman? Then at the same time, you're going to be swinging as well. But they're already going to be blinded and stunned. So they're not going to kill you, or your entire team. And since your wingman can give you information by saying, hey, I clapped over in this direction, pre-fire right here, please, Gecko, thank you. You get pseudo wall hacks. Your blind also gives you information because not only is it blinding and splooging on everyone within its line of sight, but it's also showing you where the splooches are going, so you can have pseudo wall hacks. You can say, oh, there's a guy over here. Oh, look, there's a guy back sight. Here, let me pre-fire the guy that my blind said close left. On top of that, with this. Now, if you have your ultimate, your retakes are completely free because you have a Skydog Killjoy ultimate. You can run around and you can clear absolutely everything for your team and detain the first guy you see. And as you throw out the combo on the rest of people, and then you molly this so you don't get swung from here. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? Util dump with Gecko on retakes. And you'll see this as a common trope with flash initiators on retakes. Just util dump. Don't feel like you're wasting any of your utility. If you can win the round by using a piece of util, use it, win it. So you're essentially just throwing the entire kitchen sink at the enemy team when you're playing Gecko on retakes. And yeah, that's really how it is. And again, you can also set up your duelist for aggressive plays. An aggressive play that I like to set up is if I have a Reyna or a Jet or a character with a get out of jail free card, I'll throw my wingman over here, I'll throw my dizzy in this window, and then I'll let them go ham on all the people that are stunned and blinded to be made. Again, use this combo, abuse this combo. This combo right here is absolutely phenomenal. On to the next flash initiator. Next flash initiator is going to be KO. Copy and paste Gecko. I'm not even joking, copy and paste Gecko, except for one thing. The flash, obviously, you can use your flash. Also, it's a really, really cool lineup, by the way. The flash is in front of the window, and the flash is all of me main. It's kind of a cool flash. I stole it from Toto, by the way. If you want to learn how to play KO good, i.e. if you want to learn how to throw flashes like an absolute giga chad, watch Toto. Toto on YouTube, he has KO flash guides that are probably the best on YouTube, way better than I could ever do, because he actually mains the character. Phenomenal, watch him on YouTube. Fake Ananas is also very good if you want to learn KO from a more theoretical standpoint, and a more like very good knife usage and like timing. Definitely watch Toto VODs and look at Toto's KO guides. Toto's also releasing some Gecko stuff as well, so if you want to learn Gecko, I would watch Toto. But with KO, a common misconception that I see a lot with KO is they'll use their knife for information. You do not want to use your knife for information. Even though your knife gives you information, it's very easy to juke out the KO knife. If, say, a Sova Dart was here, for example, Sova Dart lands up here, the Sova Dart gives you hard, tangible information. If a Sova Dart tags someone, you see exactly where they are. You'll see that they're right here in front of the choke point. Or you'll see that they're right here in the choke point. Or you'll see that they're hugging this wall ready to swing market on you and kill you. Sova Dart tells you that. KO Knife does not. KO Knife just shows you how many people are within its radius. But look how big the radius is. If this KO Knife scans you, you could be back here, you could be back here, you could be over here, you could be over here, you could be in this corner, you could be in this corner, you could be even up in logs for all I care. It's not going to work out for you if you're using this knife for just for information. However, you want to use this knife as a similar concept to how you would use Breach's ultimate. You want to use the knife as they're about to come out of the choke point. The reason being they're not going to have the utility. Think about this in the enemy's heads for a second. They just spent all this time clearing out B main, and they're ready to hit the site. They're waiting for your smoke to go down. Sova's ready to throw a dart lineup. Your Omen's ready to smoke market in CT, and Sky's ready to flash out, and your entire team is going to rush out onto site. The smoke goes down, they're ready to throw their stuff, and they get hit by this thing. That's 8 seconds, which 8 seconds in Valorant is a long time, that they're not going to be able to use their utility that they were about to do. So this is where you have to have a good sense of timing when you're playing KO. Throw your knife at any point where it would remove the use of their abilities to help them win the round. Best possible time for this is as they're about to come out of the choke point and throw util on the site for an execute. You just chuck this thing, and on top of that, it gives you a little bit of information, because if the knife scans 4 people, you're thinking, where's the last person? And then you start looking out for lurks. You can, get a heads up on people lurking. Either way, it is very, very, very good to use your KO knife, not for information, but for the actual suppression of it, because using it as a information tool is kind of a waste. Molly, use your Molly. KO's Molly is good to use on the choke point. I wouldn't say KO's Molly is bad to use on the choke point. You can also use KO's Molly to clear out angles. Like, say you want to clear this, since KO's Molly goes in a sphere. If you want to clear this out, you're going to be getting hit by this. You can use your KO Molly to clear stuff out, and your flashbang is a flashbang. And your ultimate, again, sort of the same idea as a breach ultimate. You either want to use it A as they're coming out of the choke point, or you want to use it B for a retake. Pretty self-explanatory. On to the next initiator. Alrighty, Sky. Sky is very straightforward. Again, the flash initiator, I've said this once, I'll say it again. Flash initiators are extremely simple to play on defense once you know what you're doing. You use your dog for retakes. Don't use your dog for information. That's what your flash is for. Your flash is to see if people are places, I guess. I know, use your flash to see if person is place or person is B main. Now, it doesn't give you exact information. It just tells you that someone or some peoples are there, which oftentimes is enough, because your flash you can also use to initiate aggressive plays for your duelist. You can use your flash for retakes to, initiate a retake. Overall, it's good. Now, you don't want to use your dog for early round information, because if there's not there, you lose out on the actual purpose of your dog, which is to clear angles for a retake. So you're going here, you're retaking the site, you've cleared 90% of the angles. Or if you want to go a different route, instead of clearing that, or like say that all that's clear, you can use your dog to clear the entirety of site and find out where people are on site. Either way, your dog should be used for retakes, nothing else. Now, your ultimate can be used for early round information if you'd like. If they play very slow, or if they lurk, or if they default a lot, your ultimate can be used for that, to see how many people are where, just so you can sort of crack their default a little bit. You can also use your ultimate for a retake. Obviously, your ultimate's completely fine to use for a retake. You can use your ultimate sort of like a breach ultimate, so you can slam your ultimate as they're coming out of the choke point. That is also another option. And your heal is a heal. You heal your teammates when they're low HP. Whoop-de-doo. Alright, on to the next class of age. Alrighty, Recon Initiators. Your job as a Recon Initiator is to get early information, and also to help your team with information on retakes. But your job is early information. So, say you want to figure out if they're B main at the start of the round. You would throw a lineup that would, cover B main, right? I think this is the right lineup, yes. Yes, the right one. This covers B main. Or you would throw, a lineup like this or something, right? Obviously not like that. I'm horrible at... You know what? I'm not even going to cut this out of the video. You're just going to have to stare at Larry here. By the way, this guy's name is Larry, and you don't get to convince me otherwise, because I said so. Anyways, yeah. So, you can use your Fade Eye for early information. Now, your dogs, you're mainly going to want to save your dogs for retake, because you can use your dogs to clear out angles on site. You can see if anyone's close left, close right. Use your dogs for a retake to clear site. Now, you can use your C's comboed with other pieces of utility, or you can also use your C's to stall. So say that they're just dissing your smokes. So say your controller puts a smoke right here in the choke point. and they're just dissing the smoke. As they're coming out of the smoke, you hit them with one of these and you spray them down. Or if you have a phantom, it's even better because you can like really spray them down. Why do I have a diamond buddy on this? Like, I know I'm washed, but geez, past me, you don't have to abuse me like that. Jeez. Anyways, yeah, so you sort of throw this here and then you spray right here and then you're completely fine. Now, what is a common misconception with Recon Initiators? I'm drawing blanks here. A common misconception with Recon Initiators is that if... Actually, no, there really is no common misconceptions with Recon Initiators. Like, I mean, it's kind of straightforward. Just throw your thingy. Jeez, I really thought I had something going there. But yeah, just throw your thingy and see if people are there. And if they're not there, you can rotate. You can also delay the timing of it a little bit. That's the common misconception I was trying to do. That's the one I was trying to find. Totally. Common misconception is you have to throw your info at the very start of the round. Don't throw your info at the very, very start of the round. Because that's going to get predictable, and they're just going to start dodging your utility. Instead, you should vary the timing of it. One round, you throw it immediately. Other rounds, you wait a couple seconds. Other rounds, you wait 20 seconds. Other rounds, you don't throw it at all, and just save it for a retake. I want to vary the timing of when you throw your recon abilities. Now, on to some more agent-specific stuff. I already did go over Fade quite a bit. Except Fade's ultimate is one of the ultimates in the game that is pretty much solely used for retakes. You wouldn't really want to use this like a Breach ultimate where you're just throwing it at the choke point as they're coming out. It can be effective in some certain very niche circumstances, but it's normally better off used as a retake tool. So generally, use your Fade ultimate as a retake tool. Everything else in Fade's kit's pretty self-explanatory. Alright, next. Alright, Sova. Sova, again, Dart is your recon ability.
Standing ahead.
You throw that at the start of the rounds, at the middle of rounds, to see where they are at any given point. If I had any Sova lineups, I'd give them to you, but I don't play this character like that, so, here. I'll come up with one on the spot.
Standing ahead.
B main. If I actually nail this. Nope, that's going into Narnia. You get the idea. Learn some Sova lineups. Obviously, Average Jonas has some solid ones. SnappyX also has some very, very good Sova lineups. So if you want to look at some Sova lineups that aren't by the J-Man, you got SnappyX is another option. SnappyX has some very, very good lineups. Of course, Wahujin plays quite a bit of Sova, and I think he released a couple of Sova guides as well, or he talked to like professional Sova players. So Wahujin is another option you could look at. But yeah, there's a lot of info out there for Sova. So definitely, if you are struggling with Sova, definitely you have options there in terms of lineups. Now, a very common misconception that I see with Sova players, this one I actually have a common misconception on, like just Recon Initiators. If I cut that part out of the video, everyone who's watching this is going to be confused, and then I'm going to have to cut this part out of the video and then waste my own time. So I'm not going to cut it out of the video, and I'm just going to have you watch this part of it. Unless you are skipping around with the timestamps and what, you know what? I'm just getting too existential here. A lot of people use their drone off rip when they're in choke points to gather information. You don't want to do that. Reason being, your drone is, and again, I should have a counter on screen of how many times I've said this. You want to save this ability for retakes. You don't want to be using your drone just willy-nilly to gather information. You want to be using your drone for retakes, because look at how much space I can clear with my drone for a retake. I can clear everything with Sova's drone for a retake. A little bit into main, boom, boathouse, clear. Everything is clear with Sova's drone. You can clear everything with Sova's drone, and you want to use it for retakes, because also the dart does give you wall hacks, and that's fine. Now, shock darts can be used sort of as like a breach stun type deal. Or not a breach stun, a breach aftershock type deal, where you're using them to clear out angles that you would normally not feel like clearing, but also has the added benefit of sort of that phase seize type of deal, where you're going to just throw them at the choke point, or throw them near the choke point, where people are probably going to be hiding, to clear out those angles, deal some chip damage, but you never want to throw your shock darts if you don't have information. You want to throw your shock darts off of information. So say you see that someone is in this corner right here. Just introduce them to Shen Yor Shockington for a little bit. And either deal some massive chip damage, or just kill them. Completely for free. And what are they going to do? Shoot you back? No, they're getting shock darted. If they move out that corner, they're going to get blasted by your weapon that you're going to be pulling out immediately after you throw your shock dart, or else I will hurt you. Anyways, yeah, so just make sure that you're using your shock darts off of information. Do not throw your shock darts blindly. And yeah, that's going to be it for the Recon Initiators. Let us go on to the next class. You know, I sympathize with the chamber a lot. I do want Viper to sit on. Hey, welcome back to this. Sentinels. Your job as a Sentinel is to hold down the site and to stall them for as long as you can, or to otherwise entirely disincentivize them from pushing your site. What do I mean by that? If you are playing a Sentinel, the #1 complaint that I hear from Sentinel players is, oh, they never push my site. Oh, the game's so boring. They never push my site. I want to get my TikTok clip of them running into my cipher setup, but they don't push my site. That's what you want. You want them to not push your site. Your entire job as a Sentinel is to disincentivize the enemy team for pushing your site. Is to make them think twice about pushing into your domain. And there's a couple different ways they do that. Killjoy has the turret and mollies, so that if you push the turret and push the mollies, you're going to be taking a metric ton of damage. If you push into a Cypher setup, you're going to be immediately thrown into a James Bond movie as you're concussed, wall hacked, full blinds by a Cypher one-way, cammed, and getting sprayed down by a Cypher with a Phantom. Why do I still have the Diamond Buddy on this? Anyways, but yeah, you're going to be sprayed down by a Cypher player who has nothing better to do with their life than to sit in a corner watching YouTube videos from Acre the Dog so that they can terrorize my ranked games. Nerf Cypher, please. All that to say, your job as a Sentinel is to disincentivize people from pushing your site by making it basically, hey, if you push my site, you gonna die. And that's how you want to play Sentinel. Now, there's really nothing else to say for overarching Sentinel things on defense, outside of agent-specific stuff, which we're going to get into right here with Chamber. With Chamber, your tripwire is a tripwire. You can, on this map, I would throw my tripwire mid, so I don't have to worry about mid. And then I would use my setup, which would be a teleport paired with some form of weapon to disincentivize you from pushing the site. Now, if you're playing Chamber, Chamber is a different kind of Sentinel. Chamber is not the type of Sentinel that can let his util do the talking for him and let his guns play off of his util. His entire util is just weapons and utility to complement those weapons, i.e. the untradeable character. Roll the tens clip. Not actually. I'm not putting that much effort into this video. Tens said that Chamber is an untradeable character, which is how you want to be playing him as. So say you have your teleport right here, and you're ready to take an early aggressive fight here. You take a shot, you get a one tap, and you get out. Or if you miss, you also get out, and you're completely safe. Instead of your utility being the stall and the deterrent, you are the stall and the deterrent. Which means that you as the Chamber player have to be very confident in your mechanics. And also you have to be very comfortable using the operator. Chamber is very good at using the operator because the operator is the ultimate do not push me tool. Because I'm sure you've seen the memes on Instagram or on YouTube. There's going to be the Chamber sitting bot mid right here with an operator, and the enemies on the attacking side are going to be like, alright, we're going to push the site, don't push mid. And your two solo queue teammates double swing mid and get collided by the Chamber op. That is the most common solo queue meme that I've seen in recent times. And this is very real, and you want to be adopting this playstyle by punishing them for peeking you dry. Now, what if they don't peek you dry? What if they stun you? What if they flash you? What if they pre-fire you? Okay, well, if they pre-fire you, there's not really much you can do. Just fix your positioning at that point. But if they stun or flash you, you can just leave. And that's how you want to be playing chamber. You want to be always in your teleport range, and you want to be the deterrent that stops them from pushing your site. Chamber's also good for locking down mid, specifically on ascent. So you can have your teleport here, and you have an operator mid, or you have your headhunter, or you have a guardian or something. I thought for a second that was a bronze buddy. I was about to flip out. Anyways, yeah, or you have a guardian, or you're confident with your vandal, and you're getting one with a vandal and getting out. Either way, you want to be the deterrent when you're playing chamber. Your utility is not the deterrent. Your trip is 90% of the time just for information. You are the deterrent. All right, next Sentinel. Next Sentinel, of course, being Cypher.
30 seconds left.
With Cypher, you want to be playing as safe as humanly possible. Reason being, Cypher has global utility. You or any of your teammates can profit off of having a Cypher setup. And with Cypher, you want to be throwing as many unbreakable trips as you possibly can. So I don't know if there's really any unbreakable trips on Ascent, because I do not play this character. And me trying to find one is just going to leave myself very embarrassed. Here's one. But really, you want to be throwing as many unbreakable trips as you possibly can. So one unbreakable trip that I do know is on A. But Cypher is the ultimate site blockage character. If you have a Cypher on the enemy team, rest assured you are not getting on site for free or without a lot of pay. And oftentimes, especially in the current meta, what I recommend to my students is if there is a Cypher on the enemy team holding down a site, just rotate. You do not want to push into a Cypher setup. And the last thing you want is to get rid of that fear factor that Cypher has. Because 90% of the time, especially with Cypher in the current meta, if you run into a Cypher setup, you are going to die and there's nothing you can do about it, regardless of how hard you try. That rhymed. My rhymes are fly. I want to cry. Anyways, with Cypher, you want to make it very, very scary to push into your site. Because the second they start realizing, hey, this Cypher is a scrub, he doesn't know what he's doing, we can push his site for free, this Cypher is terrible, is when you lose the video game. You want to be very scared. I was trying to hit the one-way here. There is a one-way lineup where you can get a cage up here. And it's a one-way, and it's very good.
Cage trigger, give me a corpse.
Never mind, they patched it. Anyways, yeah. With Cypher, you want to make sure that your setups are in check. Now, another common mistake that I see from a lot of Cypher players is they use the same setup over and over. I fall into this trap. Whenever I have to fill Sentinel, anytime I'm on Ascent, I will use this setup right here. Throw a cage here, and I'll throw my cam up here, and then I'll sit back generator and I'll let my thingies do their thing, right? Or I'll sit right here and I'll play for this wallbang here and let my thingies do their thing. You can wallbang this entire thing, by the way. It's really stupid. But anyways, I use the same setup all the time. And when I'm playing with this setup in higher elos, a lot of people start realizing, hey, this Cypher's using the same setup every time. Let's use our Sova shock darts to break his trips. So you want to not just have one reliable setup for every site. You want to have multiple reliable setups for every site, so that they don't start breaking your tripwires and just completely nullifying your setup and pushing your site for free. Again, I've said this once, I'll say it again. Your goal as a Sentinel is to make enemies think twice before they actually try to push your site. You want, as the Sentinel player, to have the most boring game of Valorant as you possibly can. You know that you're doing your job correctly if they just end up never pushing your site. Now, in terms of retake, Cypher doesn't really got much retake help. He has his cages and his cams, which are okay for retake, but they're not exactly the best. The best retake tool in Cypher's arsenal is his ultimate, because it gives you that information, so they don't have to waste a Skydog or a Sova drone for that information. You have a 6-point ultimate that gives you that information for you, and give me a corpse. So yeah. You want to prioritize your ultimate for retakes as Cypher. You could also cam, or you can cage your team onto site. That's fine as well. You can cam and cage your team onto site. But really, your best retake tool as a Cypher is your ultimate. But if you're playing Cypher correctly, you're going to be stacking the other parts of the map. So you have your setup on one half. You have a person mid or whatever. You're stacking one part of the map, and they just can't push anywhere, and you win. That's the best case scenario. Now, obviously, the best case scenario isn't always going to happen. This is a video game. But you want to get as close to that best case scenario as you possibly can, where they can't push you because of your setup, and they can't push your team because of numbers advantage. So that's how you want to play Cypher. Cypher's very oppressive. Cypher's very scary. And if you play him correctly, you are going to be playing the most boring Valorant, but it's going to be the most free elo you've ever seen, period. Next. Alrighty, Deadlock. Deadlock is a very underrated agent. Now, Boney is the best Deadlock player, period. And it's not even close. He one-tricks the agent, and he's absolutely phenomenal with him. So if you want to learn how to play Deadlock like an absolute demon, watch Boney, watch his guides, watch his ranked breakdowns. You will not regret it. Also, Boney, I think, watches my videos because he's followed me on Twitter and stuff. By the way, follow my Twitter. I post occasionally. But hi, Boney. How you doing? Leave a comment, Boney. You're great. But with Deadlock, again, same deal. You want to be using your setups to make them think twice about pushing into your site. Now, you cannot throw your Deadlock trips as if they were Cypher trips. That meaning, you don't want to be throwing your trips in spots where they can just shift walk past your trips and completely remove all of their value. You want to be putting your Deadlock trips in spots where they're forced to make noise. They're forced to make noise on switch. If they want to drop down, they're forced to make noise when they're dropping down. Or probably a better trip would be like right here. They're forced to make noise as they're dropping down. If you want to throw it right here, they're forced to make noise as they're planting. So you can throw a trip to cover default plant. You always want to throw your trips in spots where they're forced to make noise. You don't want to give your enemies an opportunity to just shift walk past your trips and remove all their value. Gravnet. Gravnet is very, very self-explanatory. Throw it. You throw it at the choke point, and then you sit them all down. And then you listen for the sound cue. As soon as you hear the beep beep of them taking off the thing, you spray them down with your insult phantom, and you just win. Off of the sound cue, you spray them down and you're fine. Your wall, very self-explanatory. You can either A, use your wall to cage them in. I don't remember this wall lineup because I don't play this character. But you can use your wall to cage them in so they can't rotate. That's very good. Or the better use of Deadlock's wall is to throw it at the choke point so they can't actually push the site. Now, Deadlock is the one exception. You want to be throwing your Deadlock wall as early into the round as you possibly can. This wall isn't a smoke. Reason being is you want to give your wall time to fortify, because look how long it takes for Deadlock's wall to fortify after you throw it. That's a long time. So you want to be throwing your wall as early into the round as you can. You want to sort of get a read of where they're going, and then once you get a read of where they're going, you throw the wall where they're going, and you win. And then you get about 40 seconds of stall off of Deadlock's wall, and if they want to break it, they're going to have to waste like 2 clips of a Vandal to break the wall. Spraying that thing for a while. Anyways, with Deadlock, you really, really, really want to be using your wall to stall, putting your trips in spots where they are forced to make noise, using your Gravnet as they're A, breaking your wall, or B, in a spot where they can get spammed, i.e. from behind the smoke or behind your wall. And your ultimate, you want to use your ultimate for retake. There's a lineup that I stole. I honestly don't know if Boney came up with this, but you have ult lineups for retakes. So I think if you throw this one correctly, I think it goes. I'm really making myself look like a professional here.
Nothing there.
I mean, if Chamber's up here opping, then he is done for. But yeah. If you have lineups, use it for retake. This is probably your best retake tool because you can use it to clear out hard to clear angles and pretty much guarantee you get free kills. So say that you know that they're sitting in Wime, you're in a 1v1 situation, and you have to stick the bomb. You tap the bomb, wait for them to peek, you throw your ultimate, and you win the round. If you know where they are, never dry ult. You always want to ult if you have some kind of information or if you're clearing out a common angle. That's when you want to use your ultimate. You also use your ultimate on choke points if you know for a fact that it's going to get the kill, because that's a free kill. That's numbers advantage, and earlier in the video I already talked about the importance of numbers advantage. Anyways, next! Alrighty, Killjoy. Killjoy is very, very similar to Cypher in the sense that you want to be throwing her utility in blah, 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 making them not want to push your site. But Killjoy is also very setup dependent as well. And I'm going to make this quick just because this video is already getting long. Ultimate, use ultimate for retake. It's that simple. Use your ultimate for retake. Don't really use it as they're pushing site because you only saw them for a couple seconds. You use your ultimate once the bomb is already down and you're ready to retake. Really simple as that.
Area's clear.
Just learn your killjoy setups. There's no real theory behind killjoy setups because pretty much all of them are map dependent. As far as good killjoy players, I mean, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any really good killjoy players that I would like recommend watching videos. But I would say like professional players, I would say watch professional killjoy setups from like pro players. But the thing is, killjoy isn't really as meta as Cypher right now, so there's not really going to be much killjoy stuff out there. But there is a good killjoy stuff out there. You just have to go and look for it. I don't know any off the top of my head, but killjoy is very setup dependent. Make sure you have good setups, make sure you have multiple setups, and make sure you know how to play those setups. Don't just throw the setup down and throw your positioning and fundamentals out the window. Make sure your fundamentals are solid, and make sure you know how to actually play off of that setup so that you maximize its value. Anyways, yeah, on to the next. Don't play Sage. Really as simple as that. Am I saying it's impossible to rank up with Sage? No. Am I saying it's going to be difficult to rank up with Sage? Yes. Because Sage is just not a good agent for ranked. Not a good agent for pro play, not a good agent for ranked. But if you do, for some reason, want to play Sage on defense, here's how you do it. You wall them off. Are we catching this here, right? You wall them off. If they break your wall, you throw your slow orb at it. On to the next character. Alright, finally, Vice. Vice is a character. Vice's ultimate, I would say, it's a good idea to use your ultimate for retake, but it's also another one of those initiator ultimates that you can use as they're walking onto site. Or not initiator ultimates, I mean Sentinel ultimates. You can use it as they're walking onto site because then it'll stall them, so that's good. With the flash, you want to be throwing your flash as high up as you possibly can, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my Vice guide. Because I do have a Vice specific guide where I go over basic setups for all the maps, so I would recommend going check that out if you want to play Vice. But you want to throw your flash as high up as you can so that it covers the most area that it can, but you also want to throw your flash in a spot where it's not going to get pre-fired, and you want to throw your flash in different spots as often as you can. So say one round you put your flash right here, or another round you put your flash on top of Henry Birkentraum Archibald III here, right here. Throw your flash in high spots so that it covers a lot of area. Don't throw your flash too far away because then it'll only blend them for a half a second. And make sure your flash is hard to dodge. And yeah, Vice is all about utility combos. So not one piece of your utility is good on its own, but you want to use every piece of your utility in tandem. So you have your flash here, you have your wall here, you have your thorn, and you have your thorn. You want to use your wall as the catalyst to start everything. So boom, someone gets Venus fly-trapped onto site because of your wall. As they're stuck onto site, screaming for their jet, updraft and help me! Get over the wall! I hate solo queue! You're gonna full blind them. As they're running away to lane, you're gonna throw your nets and deal as much damage as humanly possible. As you're gonna be sitting right here, ready to blast them, or blast them, or blast them. You want to combo your utility with Vice. No part of Vice's kit is good in and of itself. But put all together, Vice is very, very formidable with all of her utils put together. Because the wall is unbreakable. The reason why Vice is good is because Vice's wall is unbreakable, and if someone gets trapped here, they're going to be getting put in the Vice blender. So combo Vice's utility. Don't think throwing one piece of utility is good enough. Combo all of your utility at once to really, really secure that kill. Think of Vice like a Venus flytrap, where the second that one trap gets checked off, you're blowing all of your util to really, really secure that you get that kill or those multiple kills. But the reason why Vice isn't very good is because you can just bait out her wall. You can go whoop-de-doo and the wall gets baited out. So be very careful when picking Vice. Vice is not good in the current meta right now, but I mean, she's definitely better than Sage, I'll tell you that much. Alrighty, finally onto Duelists. This section is going to be very, very quick because Duelists are probably more straightforward than Flash Initiators. With Duelists, you can pretty much do whatever you want. If you're playing a Duelist on defense, you are the flex. What do I mean by flex? You are basically filling in roles that your team needs. If your team needs an extra person on site, you're going to rotate. If your team needs an entry on a retake, you're going to do that. If you want to take early aggression and early space, you're the one that's going to be doing that. If your Sentinel is absolute hot dookie, then you're going to be helping out your Sentinel by covering gaps in their setup. So say that your Cypher just sucks at holding B main with his trip, you're going to either push B main or you're going to hold B main. You're constantly floating. You should never be playing in the same spot twice if you're playing a Duelist. You should always be the first one to rotate and the first one to leave. You should also be the first one to go out in a retake because, and I'm going to say this very lightly, your life is expendable and means almost nothing in the grand scheme of the round. So with that comes responsibility to be the first one to go in and the first one to get traded, but this also gives you the freedom to do whatever is comfortable for you. You, as the Duelist, can pretty much fill any other role that you would want, depending on what Duelist you're playing. Obviously, you can't flash if you're playing ISO, but you can use these to initiate retakes. Or if you need to stall for a little bit, you can use these to stall. Or if you want to take early space, you can do this, you have a shield, and you push. If you want to initiate a retake with an ultimate, you can ult the planter off of the site and then put them into the gulag. Or if the bomb is already planted, you put them into the gulag. Or if they're about to come out onto site, you put them into the gulag. Either way, if you're playing a Duelist, regardless of what Duelist you're playing, you can essentially do whatever you want, and as long as you do it well, it's going to work. You're not locked to a specific role like the other agents, and I'm not saying there's no flexibility in other agents. Obviously, if one of your teammates dies but you need something, you need to fill that gap. But generally, as the Duelist, you're going to be the one filling that gap. So you have the most freedom as a Duelist, but you're also the most expendable. So expect to be dying a lot, but with that, expect to be getting a lot of kills, a lot of first frags. You have a lot of freedom when you're playing Duelist. So have fun with it, but make sure that whatever you choose to do, you're doing it well, and get the tips from all the other roles. Now onto some agent-specific stuff. I did kind of go over ISO. This is sort of a retake tool. This can be used for stall. This can be used for advantages in fights, and this can also be used for retakes. This can be used for stall. This can also be used for retakes. And this is just the button to give yourself an advantage in a gunfight, or if you want a little bit of extra tankiness as you're initiating a retake, that's really fine with ISO. All right, next Duelist. All right, Jett is very versatile. But how you really want to be playing Jett is you really want to prioritize getting early first picks. Sort of the same as Chamber. So Jett is very, very similar to Chamber in playstyle when it comes to defense. Oftentimes you're going to be popping your dash early in the round, getting a kill, and leaving. So you're going to be here, you're going to be trying to get a kill, and then dash away. Or you're going to be getting a kill, and you're going to be dashing away. Your goal is to get early kills while keeping yourself safe in doing so. Now, your smoke is used for like one ways to give yourself an advantage in fights. Really, there's no specific playstyle I want to use with playing Jett, but one thing that I do recommend with Jett is very similar to Chamber, is to abuse the operator. You are kind of very, very good with stalling with Jett when you have an operator in your hands, because if they peek, they're getting killed and they're going to die. So, obviously you shouldn't be dashing forwards. I really suck with Jett dashes. But anyways, if you're going to be playing mid, for example, you can get an op and go here. And your job on defense is to hold and to stop them from getting onto site easy. And the best way to do that is to play Jett. If you are playing Jett, is to play the operator with Jett so you can get one, get a kill, dash away. Now you have to be very confident in your mechanics if you're playing Jett, sort of in the same vein as Chamber. You have to be confident in your mechanics if you're playing any kind of Duelist. However, with Jett, it's very, very more of a defined playstyle on defense, where you kind of have to play as your secondary Chamber. Get an op as soon as you can. Op early and op often. And just really make sure that you're giving your team a good chance of success with your util and by stalling them out. But also you can initiate retakes. You can, you know, get onto site when you need to, etc, etc. Next Duelist. All right, Neon's strengths on defense lie in fast rotations. If you're playing Neon, you can pretty much be both sides at the same time. So say that they show early presence on A, you should be the first to rotate to A. Boom, you're here ready to help your team on A, right? You know, you stun for them. You can use your wall for retakes like this, stuff like that. But with Neon, you want to be rotating as much as you can because Neon can go so fast. Neon has the fastest base movement speed out of any character in the game with her sprint. So you can be going and you can essentially just hop over to sites, see what's going on over here, hop over back to the other site. You're free to rotate as much as you can with Neon. So Neon's strength lies in being a backline rotator and being just that constant oppressive force on the enemy team, so that at any given point the enemy team is running into 3 players on site because you're essentially playing both sides at the same time. The entire part of your spawn is a part of site. But Neon can also take early aggressive space. So if you want to do an aggressive play with Neon, one that I like to do is I really need to take that diamond buddy off, man. I need to grind rank. I need to get myself back to Radiant so I get my credibility back. But anyways, yeah. Something I like to do is I like to stun this off for it. And I'll take an early fight here and I'll go for a spray transfer. And then after that, you know, I'll just wall up and leave, right? But you have the freedom to do that with Neon. So Neon is a very good backline rotator, but Neon is also very good in terms of, like, taking early aggressive space. So that's what you want to be doing with Neon. But with Neon, you want to be doing everything as fast as you can. And also Neon's a very fun character. Learn how to do your Neon movement. Watch Grumpy on Val's Neon dodge strafe tutorial. Very useful. If you want to learn how to play Neon in a more high-low environment, and also just have a lot of fun doing it, Temet is also very good. He doesn't really have any guides, but just watch his gameplay, analyze what he does, and see what he does and how he does it. Anyways, next Duelist. Alright, Phoenix. Phoenix is kind of a jack of all trades, sort of like ISO a little bit. He has the best flash in the game, and it's not even close. Phoenix has the best flash in the game, so definitely abuse this as much as you can if you want to go for early kills. You can also use your flash to initiate retakes. You can use your molly to stall people out. You can also use your molly to clear out angles that you otherwise wouldn't feel like clearing, because, you know, this molly actually does go through and does burn people on the other side, if I'm not mistaken. Unless they patched it. Your molly does not, in fact, go through this wall. But, you know, if you know your molly lineups, you also have your ultimate as well. Your ultimate gives you a second life, so that's a really good way to initiate retakes or to take early space. Your wall is good for isolating fights and for initiating retakes. So say that your team can't give you a sight smoke, whoop-de-doo, you have a wall here, and boom, there's your sight smoke. So Phoenix is a jack of all trades. Just get all the other tips from all the other agents and cram it into this one, and you're going to be absolutely chilling. Raze plays a lot like a controller in terms of stall. You have a lot of stall ability with Raze, and if you're pushing into a site with a Raze guarding it, you're not going to have a fun time. If you get close to the choke point, you're getting naded. Whenever the nade goes out and you try to push again, you're going to get boom botted. If the Raze has the ultimate, she's getting all the space that she wants and probably a free kill to go along with it. With Raze, you want to be playing very up close and personal with the choke point and stalling them and trying to get as many kills and as much damage as you humanly possibly can, just by blasting the most amount of youth that you can of them. With satchels, you can use your satchels for retakes, obviously, like you can entry on a retake with your satchels, but you can also use your satchels to, you know, knock people out of smokes if you know people are in smokes. But generally, you want to be using your satchels for movement. You can also use your satchels to get yourself to off angles at the very start of the round. So say you have a read that they're going to come B, you just satchel yourself up on top of this box here, and you have an off angle here. Or alternatively, another off angle I see Raze players using is right here. They'll use this. This also allows you to get a really cheeky ultimate angle right here. Little free piece of Raze tech for you. Really with Raze, you can use your satchels on this map for information. So you can just pop up here, see if they're here, and then be pretty much safe, because not even tens is hitting this shot right here, especially if they're not expecting it. So really Raze has a lot of versatility, but play Raze more of like a stall type of character. Obviously, you can flex to whatever role your team needs, but play Reyes more like a stall. Reyna is the default character. As in, there's not really much to go off of here. With Reyna, you just play the game. I don't really have a set playstyle for Reyna because you can pretty much do anything with Reyna. But Reyna is one of those characters where she's a doer of all, master of none type deal. She doesn't really have a specialty. She's just Reyna. Now, I guess Reyna sort of favors a more aggressive playstyle, so taking early space, taking early fights, sort of like a Jet type of deal. But also, Reyna does thrive from playing in off angles as well, because of the fact that Reyna doesn't have a time constraint on her utility like a Jet dash. So she can be here as long as she wants, and as long as she gets that kill, she can get out. But also, you have to be very confident in your mechanics, sort of similar to Jet, if you're playing Reyna, because if you don't get that kill, your entire util kit is useless. Your ultimate just makes everything look pretty and doesn't really do much in terms of combat advantage, I guess. So really, Reyna is the default character. Just play the game if you're playing Reyna. I don't know, just focus on your fundamentals. Alrighty, finally, last but not least, Yoru. I swapped knife skins for this because my game crashed after that last bit. Hopefully the recording saved. But yeah, Yoru's the final one. Yoru is another jack of all trades. Yoru can be anywhere he wants, but something you have to keep in mind with Yoru is you want to show presence everywhere, but never show them where you actually are. Yoru is a very timing dependent agent, and I have a student right now who is maining Yoru. And so I've had a lot of time to learn Yoru, because I spent a lot of time learning Yoru with and for my student. But he's been really, really struggling on his timing. But we've worked through that, and we're working through that. But something I've noticed with Yoru is you're very timing dependent. Generally, you want to use your teleports with Yoru to rotate quickly. And Yoru's sort of in the same boat as Neon, as you want to rotate as much as you can. And the number one tip that I have with Yoru is make sure you always have a teleport going somewhere. You should never have a teleport just sitting in your inventory. You always need to have a teleport going somewhere, because you can use it for a fast rotation, you can use it for a play, you can use it for a fake out, like that. Just always have your teleport going somewhere. But other than that, just play the game however you would like with Yoru. Just make sure that you are doing it well. Anyways, but that is going to do it for this video. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching this absolute behemoth. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, that is really about it. More videos coming soon. Bye.